this is the result when you have a lot of terrorism supported by regional power and by the West. It's not only terrorists coming from within Syria, terrorists coming from more than 100 countries around the world. They wanted to make Syria a hub for terrorism, and that's the natural situation. And if we wouldn't defend our country, that number would be many folds. Definitely the Russian participation, or what they announced as a front against the terrorism. This is the most important because this is the practical thing against terrorism. While in Paris, what's happening on the political level is just to dissipate the feeling of the French, like saying the French are going to attack ISIS in very different way. So what does it mean that? Wasn't they serious before the attack on Paris? So they're going to only dissipate the feeling of the French, nothing serious, while the Russians are very serious in fighting terrorism, and there's cooperation between them and the Syrian army. The beginning of that coalition, if you want to talk about facts, not opinion, since the beginning of that coalition, ISIS has expanded, and the recruits from around the world has increased, while since the participation of the Russian in the same fight, so-called against terrorism, ISIS has been shrinking, and Al-Nusra, of course, and the other terrorist groups. So this is reality. The facts are telling.
French president is trying to get together a broader coalition against terrorism. Are you skeptical about his efforts?
Definitely. If they wanted to learn from what happened in Paris recently, why didn't they learn from Charlie Hebdo? The same principle, the same concept. And we said at that time that this is only the tip of the iceberg. What's under the water is much bigger. They didn't learn. This is first. Second, you cannot fight terrorism while you are supporting the terrorists directly with armaments and having alliance with the staunchest supporters of terrorism in the world, which is the Saudi kingdom. You cannot. This is contradiction. You cannot the police and the thief at the same time. You have to choose either way to stand.
There was an incident on Turkish borders, a downed Russian bomber. Do you think this incident would influence the outcome of this French president's efforts to create a broader coalition? Do you think it will complicate even the peace talks in Syria?
I don't think so, but I think it has shown the real intention of Erdogan, who let's say, lost his nerve just because the Russian intervention has changed the balance on the ground. So the failure of Erdogan in Syria, the failure of his terrorist groups, means his political demise. So he wants to do anything in order to put obstacles in front of any success. So he did it, but I don't think it's going to change any balance. The war against terrorism is continuing. The Russian support and participation is going to be stronger. It is stronger anyway, and I think there's no way back in that regard, whether he do it again this way or another way. The problem now that we are fighting the terrorists, but they have unlimited supply, unwarranted supply from many different countries, mainly regional, with the support or overlooking of the West, or some of the Western countries to be precise. We cannot talk about opposition in the political sense while they are holding arms. You know, in your country, when you talk about opposition, it's only political movement first. Second, if it's political, it should have a grassroots. So when we talk about rebels, militants who are holding guns and any other armaments to attack people, to attack Syrian army, to destroy any public property or private properties and so on, this is terrorism. There's no other definition. So we don't accept the term of militant opposition or military opposition or moderate opposition having armaments. This is not opposition, this is terrorism.